Hello and welcome to this ZENworks highlights on ZENworks Adaptive Agent Logging. This video will highlight the ZENworks Adaptive Agent Logging that can be set on the managed device for troubleshooting. The ZENworks logging can be set from the Z icon properties on the device or in the ZENworks Control Center, and there are some command line you can use. The managed devices are Linux, Mac, and Windows, and they can be either managed devices, satellite servers, primary servers, which all have the ZENworks agent on them. The log location is ZENworks home/log/local store. Some of the logging information on the GUI side, in ZCC, the Objects Settings tab, or the Z icon on the device locally. There are particular settings like Use Global Setting, Errors, Errors Warnings, Errors Warnings Info, Errors Warnings Info, Debug. For the command line, the ZAC log and ZAC logger are synonymous. You can run a command line to set these levels as well. To display the current logging level, the command would be ZAC logger level. To set the current logging level to, let's say, debug, it would be ZAC logger level debug. And then to reset the log file itself is ZAC logger reset log. When these settings are set between the ZCC and the local device, the setting that's closest to the device takes precedence. For instance, if there's a global setting on ZCC object for the folder that the device sits in, and you manually set on the device a debug level, that debug level takes precedence. Let's have a walkthrough. In our ZCC, going to Configuration and Local Device Logging, we can see what the global or the enterprise setting is. Currently it's Errors. Typically you don't want to put the whole zone in debug unless tech support has requested so. But that also creates a lot of logs on a lot of different devices. A couple other options in this configuration of device logging is the rolling based on size and rolling based on date. So once the file size limit gets to 20 meg in this case, it will then zip it up and start a new ZMD messages log file, and it'll do that up to 5 times. Or you can roll it based on date. Another thing you can configure is a system log if severity is one of these particular settings. More details are in the documentation as well as on the help page here. We can now go to a device that, let's say, we're testing on, and we can set those logging levels to debug by selecting the local device, which is currently in the system or global settings. If we override, we can then set it to debug. Now the device will be in debug mode. A way to set it back after you're done testing is to revert. It'll go back to global settings. You can set these on various stages of the ZCC console. For instance, if you had workstations, you wanted to set development, those settings to debug. Any device in this folder will now be set to debug. And you can see that it's inherited this way. Let's go ahead and revert that also. Let's go to a device. You can see this logging is currently using the global setting. You have other options in here to clear the log itself, view the log, or open the log folder. If you're doing some testing and you're getting an error that you want to capture, make sure you set this to debug. This will take precedence at the local level above the setting that ZCC states for the device. So now it's set in debug level. Then you can clear the log, perform the function that gives you the error, Then your log will be tailored down. It isn't mandatory that you clear the log. It will collect all the logs in that folder when you do a ZENinfo. These logs are typically needed for tech support. The other way to set that back would be log level managed from a command line. You'll see now, after refreshing, that it's back to global settings. If you wish to check the level, ZAC logger level. If you wish to reset, that will clear out the ZMD messages log. Let's go to another device. Same thing applies here. If you wish to set this into debug, select it and hit apply. It's now set to debug mode. If you wish to set it back, we refresh this page. It is now set back. If you are collecting log files for ZENworks tech support, run a ZENinfo. See that highlight video. This concludes the ZENworks highlights on ZENworks Adaptive Agent Logging.